Good morning, students. Today I'll be continuing with the rest of the lesson of my childhood. I hope you have remembered what I have taught you earlier and what I have explained to you. So let's continue from 6th paragraph onwards. One day when I was in the 5th standard at the Rameshwaram Elementary School, a new teacher came to our class. I used to wear a cap which marked me as a Muslim, and I always sat in the front row next to Ramananda Shastri, who wore the sacred thread. The new teacher could not stomach a Hindu priest's son sitting with a Muslim boy. So now, when the author or the writer of the lesson was in 5th standard, means in 5th class, class 5, a new teacher came to his class. A new teacher was appointed in the school, and that teacher was supposed to take a class in their school. So that new teacher came to their class. So now what happened? We can mark who are Muslims and who are not by sometimes they wear a cap, white color cap in their head, round cap, so we can mark them that they are Muslims. So the author used to wear that particular cap. So the teacher already knew that he was a Muslim. He couldn't stomach it, means he didn't like the fact that the author was sitting with all the Hindu students, especially Ramananda Shastri, because his father was the highest priest of the Rameshwaram temple, and the priest's son, those who are Brahmins in Hindu society, you can understand them by they have a sacred thread over their body. They put it in sideways in the body. They have thread this fat. They put it in their body. So Ramananda Shastri wore that, and the author wore a cap. So the teacher, he couldn't digest the fact. Stomach the fact means digest the fact that both a Hindu and the Muslim sitting together and doing the classes together. So he didn't like this fact totally. So what he did, in accordance with the social ranking as the new teacher saw it, I was asked to go to school and sit on the back bench. Now what did the teacher do? The teacher said that the teacher ordered the priest's son, the author APJ Abdul Kalam, to go and sit on the back bench because he was sitting on the front bench with the high priest's son. So he told him to go and sit on the back bench. I felt very sad, and so did Ramananda Shastri. So now Ramananda Shastri, he felt very sad. The high priest's son, he felt very sad, and so the author too. Both felt very sad. He looked utterly downcast as I shifted to my seat in the last row. Utterly downcast means very sad, very depressed, utterly depressed, okay? As the author shifted his seat to the last bench of the last row. The image of him weeping when I shifted to the last row left a lasting impression on me. Now, when the author changed his seat and he went from the first row to the last row, Ramananda Shastri was utterly crying. He was crying and crying and crying. So this thing, the author still remembers to date that because of the religious bar, the new teacher asked APJ Abdul Kalam to go at the last seat and the Hindus to sit in the first seat. Now what happened? After school, we went home and told our respective parents about the incident. Lakshmana Shastri summoned the teacher and in our presence told the teacher that he should not spread the poison of social inequality and communal intolerance in the minds of the innocent children. He bluntly asked the teacher to either apologize or quit the school and the island. Not only did the teacher regret his behavior, but the strong sense of conviction Lakshmana Shastri conveyed ultimately reformed this young teacher. Now, after the class got over, all the students, they went home. They conveyed the message, means they went and narrated the whole incident, what happened in the school, to their parents. Now, Ramananda Shastri's father, Lakshmana Shastri, he summoned the teacher, means he called the students to his, he called the teacher to his place and asked him to ask sorry from that very student, from the author, because he shouldn't spread all these kinds of religious intolerance within the students. Students, you see, the students are very soft at heart, they're very pure. So he asked the teacher not to create differences among the students on basis of religion, that he is a Hindu, he is a Muslim, he is a Christian, not to differ all this, not to make the students believe. The students, small students, they want to stay as friends. Why to create differences among them? So he said this after and Lakshmana Shastri even said that if you don't want to reform yourself, if you cannot change your thinking, your thoughts, your ideology, and you come on spreading the religious intolerance among the students, you can leave the school, you can leave the island and go from there. Now what happened? This teacher, in the long run, he got himself reformed. Reform means he changed his thinking on Hindu Muslim. This thinking totally changed within himself. Now number 8th para. On the whole, the small society of Rameshwaram was very rigid in terms, the segregation of different social groups. However, my science teacher, Siva Subramaniam Iyer, though an orthodox Brahmin with a very conservative wife, was something of a rebel. He did his best to break social barriers so that people from varying backgrounds could mingle as easily. He used to spend hours with me and would say, Kalam, I want you to develop so that you are on par with the highly educated people of the big cities. Now, on the whole, the small society, Rameshwaram, as already I told you, is an island town, very small, smaller than Haflong itself. So, small society of Rameshwaram was very rigid in terms of segregation of different social groups. There were lots of social groups, and they were very, they stick to their, religion and all. But one of the science teacher, Siva Subramania Iyer, he was a science teacher. He was a very orthodox Brahmin with a very conservative wife. Conservative means a person who doesn't want to change their thinking or anything, means sticking to the religious thinking. They don't want to change any kinds of thoughts or action or anything like that. So was something of a rebel. Rebel means suppose there is a law passed, but you want to rebel, you want to break out that law. You don't want to act according to that thing. That is called rebel. I'm not talking about your parents. If your parents say something and you rebel against it, you don't listen to what they are saying, that is not good again. Rebel means any policies or anything of the government you don't like, you can protest. That is called rebellious. So he was a very rebellious type. Rebellious type, like being an orthodox Hindu Brahmin, he wanted to be a rebel too. Rebel in the sense that as Kalam was a Muslim, he used to spend most of his time with that student, okay? So that people from various backgrounds could join together, could make a community, could mingle, could mix themselves up. So he used to spend hours with me and would say, Kalam, I want you to develop so that you are on par with the highly educated people of the big cities. So he used to spend lots of time with the author, and he used to say that I want you to make a person with whom, so that when you go to a big city, you can walk or you can compete with them. No matter what, you will be same as them. So I want you to be like that, a big person. One day he invited me to his home for a meal. His wife was horrified at the idea of a Muslim boy being invited to dine in her ritually pure kitchen. She refused to serve me in her kitchen. Now, one day, the science teacher Subramania Iyer, he invited Kalam to his house for lunch. lunch. The wife was horrified. Wife was horrified means that expression like, how can you invite a Muslim boy to a house, being a such an orthodox Hindu, and moreover a Brahmin, and that also not in any of the rooms, not in the sitting room or front room, not in the, not in the inside yard or something. Like South Indian people, they have courtyard also, and they have a yard inside their house also, so we separate other rooms and kitchens. So why not treat him there? But you have taken him to direct to the uh, mm, kitchen. So she refused to serve the author in the kitchen.